Well, hey, you're here. You've made it. Hurrah! And where is here, you may ask? This is, of course, the MindGriller Server. And I'm Gravity, and this is Cow. And, well, where are we on the MindGriller Server, you may ask? Now, also a good question. We are, well, here. Precisely where we left off in our previous spine-tingling episode. And, as the most observant viewers of this channel will have already noticed, and that means both of you, we are in the process of descending into this cavernous sinkhole slash cave slash cavern. And what are we, and by that I mean Cow and I, expecting to find? Well, I have no idea. But I will confess, this cave exploration was in fact Cow's idea, which I will certainly remind him of ad nauseum, mind you, if and when things go sideways here under. Now, look here, perhaps it is unexpectedly advantageous to land periodically on variously elevated ledges in this cavern opening. This gives me a chance to scout for skellies and freaking creepers, because no one wants to be dive-bombed by a creeper. No, and nay. Freaking creepers are everywhere. Now, before we digress further, the most observant observers will have already noticed that there is now a new sound in Minecraft 1.21.6, which you can hear when releasing a tipped arrow. Now, this sound may also play when you release a regular arrow, so don't go by me. I just don't have a regular arrow to find out. Oh, and where does one get said tipped arrows, you may ask? That is also a good question. In between episodes, I traded with a Fletcher villager, and at the final master level, the highest profession tier there is, said villager will offer trades for tipped arrows, including Arrow of Harming 2. Now, as you probably already know, not every Fletcher will offer Arrow of Harming 2. The specific tipped arrow type is randomly selected from all possible effects, so it is possible that a player may need to level up and refresh multiple Fletchers to get the one you want, but I was quite lucky to find said villager. Now, to be forthright, I was hoping for a Turtle Master tipped arrow or an Arrow of Slow Falling. Anyways, inasmuch as an Understabova, a trade which costs 2 emeralds and 5 regular arrows, which is the reason why I don't have regular arrows anymore, and which yields, in this instance, 5 Arrow of Harming 2 tipped arrows. That seemed like too good a deal to pass up. Now, Cow, I will say, inasmuch as I hope you know that I am equally fond of you, at whatever your size slash waistline may be, but this not fitting through doors thing is, if I may say, a bit of a nuisance. Which reminds me, as the most retentive viewers of this channel will already know, Cow and I have a favorite pastime, which is rifling through the chests and barrels of others. I bring this up only because I'm in desperate need of a new axe. Now, if I may so propose, Cow, are you excited? I'm excited. Let the rifling commence. Oh, where does one begin? Hey, look. Cow, do you see what I see? I believe that is, in fact, a happy ghast. Perhaps my curiosity has gotten the better of me. Well, no, I've never seen a happy ghast in person before. Only in Wobble's videos, mind you. And since we are speaking of him of whom we speak, Cow, may I acknowledge your well-substantiated separation anxiety and propose to you that you do not worry. I am going to go for my first ever happy ghast ride. And since we are in a cave, which can be quite dangerous, mind you, but with skellies, zombies, and spider-faced spiders mobbing about in the cozy confines of this inartfully decorated cabin, I imagine there are a few villagers skulking and hemming and hawing about the place. Maybe you can just this once show a bit of restraint, if you know what I mean. And we're off. Wow. Hey, now I guess I just sort of press the forward key and look where I want to go. I'm gonna have to be careful that I don't crash my head into the stalactites on the ceiling or the stalagmites on the cave floor. And I'm gonna have to dodge and weave from freaking skellies and such. And avoid lava. I'm getting a feeling that I'm sort of in some sort of proxy of the nether, but less red, mind you. Hey, look there. Another sus tree like the one which led us down into this place in the first place. I suspect this is a sort of proxy for a ladder. Speaking of ladders, of which I was just speaking, it is my understanding, such that it is, that for people who interpret dreams, a ladder commonly symbolizes personal growth, progress, ambition, and spiritual development. It is often seen as a metaphor for moving toward goals, advancing in life, or reaching new heights in understanding or achievement. Now, I have have the inkling that none of that has anything to do with a ladder in a cave positioned over a pool of lava. I'm just saying. Speaking of ladders and pools of lava, moments before Cow and I began this very spine-tingling episode, Cow pointed out to me an article, words displayed on an HTML page, wherein a person who I believe was named at birth simply Eric Idle, who perhaps is most commonly known as a Monty Python-y actor, director, and writer, Ask Your Great Grandpappy, spoke to something called The Guardian. Now, also Ask Your Great Grandpappy about the possibility of he himself being thrown out of America. If it came to that inevitability, he likened the situation to Charlie Chaplin's 1952 exile, also from America. He, meaning Charlie Chaplin, and not simply Eric Idle, was once one of the most iconic figures in worldwide film history. In the middle of American Cold War paranoia, Chaplin faced accusations of undesirable political sympathies and moral impropriety. So, don't you know, when Chaplin left for the London premiere of his film Limelight, U.S. authorities revoked his re-entry permit, which led him to settle in Switzerland and forced the end of his American film career. Thereby, upon Limelight's original release in the United States, it is relevant to note that the film was heavily boycotted due to Charlie Chaplin's alleged sympathies and controversial controversies. Many American theaters refused to show it. In fact, it never screened in Los Angeles at all. As a result, it was a commercial disappointment in the U.S., earning only about $1 million, which was just about $100,000 more than its budget. No. Internationally, however, Limelight was enormously successful, particularly in Europe and Japan, and it achieved a total worldwide gross of more than $8 million. The film was praised by critics for its artistry, though I will have you know, Cow found it overly long and a wee bit sappy, as he is wont to do. Nonetheless, when Limelight was finally released in Los Angeles in the year of our Lord 1972, and here I kid you not, it, meaning the film, became eligible for the Academy Awards and won the Oscar for Best Original Dramatic Score. Grudges and conspiracies last forever. I say this because this was Chaplin's only competitive Oscar. Why do I bring this up at this moment in time, you may ask? Good question. Now, before I forget, perhaps there was a reference which slipped through the crackety cracks of my steam-filled mind, which I would prefer to, put a plastic singing bird upon before we collectively sail on. Maybe perhaps I mentioned a Minecraft content creator, he of whom I may have spoken, or of whom I merely thought of whilst mentioning the decades-old Red and Scary, just like the nether, mind you, paranoia-fueled exile of one Charlie Chaplin, may have just been the first person ever to be cancelled. Now or not, who's to say? Nonetheless, and under Sebulba, may I propose a small nugget of unsolicited observation. It may so be that videos by said video maker, meme troller, and conspiracy/gossip fabricator are getting, as so appears to Cow and I, more advanced into the murky depths of unsubstantiated memes, unsubstantiated conspiracies, and conjectures, mind you, and unsubstantiated gossip. No. Thirst-trappy meme images of jailbaity Zac Efron notwithstanding, Cow and I are, let us say, concerned. Speaking of concern, of which I just spoke, now on the complete opposite end of the content creator as a source of concern spectrum/Venn diagram, I noted a video which appeared on my very own YouTube homepage, but did not appear on Cow's. Said video was a video entitled Capital G Goodbye, no closing punctuation, mind you. It was uploaded 2 days ago by, Tis Tom. I don't know, I can't vouch for him. He, the epitomous namesake of the channel of which we are now speaking, is putting an end to said channel. Well now, Cow and I have watched many of his videos. And as many of you will know, Cow suffers from a bone-chilling case of separation anxiety. So this news came as a serious moment for Cow, who was instantly filled with morning depression and the hiccups. Until we found out that Tiz is in fact merely putting his efforts into a second channel, simply and perhaps obviously entitled, Tiz. Now, some of the most curious of viewers of this channel will be wondering, and that means both of you, why has my/our presence here in the deep dark ancient city not summoned the warden already? Good question. As it turns out, the happy gas floats largely unbeknownst to the warden and the various sensors strewn hither and yon. But as a warning, I had mentioned that mounting and dismounting the happy gas will trigger a skulk sensor, as well bumping into skulk sensors themselves. And then, says skulk sensors, of which we were just speaking, will tattletale to nearby skulk shriekers, which will in turn eventually summon the warden. And no one wants that. No. As you plural will have noticed, I have been quite careful to limit my presence to places where there are no skulk shriekers in the immediate vicinity. This way, I can go about my usual activities, such that they are, without bringing upon me blindness and that spooky warden guy. Yucky stinky pokey. I know the happy gas is quite a happy experience, in so much as I would like to mention that when attempting to steer the happy gas, it turns out you must look in the direction in which you are heading, which is fine and dandy when floating upwards as we are now so doing. But when one is attempting to float downwards, you cannot see the area below. So it would appear to me this can be quite dangerous. Now we have a few sundry tales of my trip to tell Cow. I did miss him so. What with his curly brown rawhide and newly polished horns, don't you know? Trying to land this thing is not easy. Now between you plural, the most loyal viewers of this channel, and that means both of you, and I, this landing crew is not exactly what I would call good at their jobs. Anywho, hey Cow, I'm here. I've made it. Hoorah! Your favorite person has landed. The prodigal one returns. Guess who's in the building? GravityFiller reporting for duty. No. Sulk if you must. I will say, as a brief travelogue of my travels, I was in an ancient city. And inasmuch as, insofar as an understable, since I know you do not enjoy the prospect of encounters with the warden, I will defend my controversial choice to leave you here to suffer ad nauseum in silence through your bone-chilling separation anxiety, such that it is. And I will have you know, as a form of make nice, I have considered the option of bringing you on a trip of your very own. Are you excited? I'm excited. Cow, this is quite something. I do enjoy the view. Now, Cow, as it turns out, one of the limiting factors of this gargantuan mass of happy gas is the resultant limited visibility of all things existing below. And that includes, at this very moment in time, mind you, you. Insofar as hitherto and since I cannot see you, move periodically so that I know you haven't disengaged and fallen to your demise. Won't you? Now, at this very moment, I'm reminded of a very important... Ow! Freaking Skelly! He's hitting the gas! If the gas dies, then we all fall to our death! Cow, hold on! He's gone. Cow, it appears there are hidden dangers associated with this flying marshmallow. Speaking of which, I believe we have one more night of phantom-free nights. No one wants a visit from one of those guys. Freaking sky rats. Now, Cow, you know, looking at this night sky, I can't help but think of all those famous paintings of night skies, including your favorite by Caspar David Friedrich, which you are always quick to note portrays symbolic and emotional depth, using the motif of night to invoke spirituality and introspection. Now, if I may say, there's also what is perhaps a counter concept, shall we say, called simulacra. It has to do with how copies or representations can end up shaping how we see reality. Sometimes they even replace the original experience. It makes you wonder if we're seeing the night sky itself, or just a mental copy of all the artistic starry nights we've already seen. And due in part to Cow's bone-chilling separation anxiety. Well, now, Cow, if you start to feel a little car sick, please lean over the edge. And don't look down. It's quite a long ways. Now, with that being said, sadly, it's time to say our goodbyes. Cow, are you still there? Move twice. Good so. Goodbye. So long. See you later. Totes scenes. Totes so.